In terms of getting rid of fatigue, you can't just get rid of it. And if you try to treat it, it's only going to make the problem worse. For me, I was trying to do IV treatment over a 2-year period. That's a lot of IV drips, but I still had all those other symptoms going on. I was essentially overriding my brain's power over my body with these external things. It's actually almost like a miracle I was able to get out of it. But fatigue is something that is not going to be immediate. That's going to be secondary. The first thing that's going to go is the pain, the symptoms, the immediate stressors. That's going to go first. How's it going, guys? Miguel here from CFS Recovery. In this video, we're going to be talking about getting rid of fatigue. Now, fatigue is always going to be underlying even when other symptoms come and go. Fatigue is usually one of the first things to come about early in the beginning stages of this illness, when you probably first started to notice you're getting sick, or as you got more and more sick, you notice that the fatigue starting to pile on more and more, and then other symptoms were actually introduced. Now, I want to share something with you. I've created this presentation to kind of paint the picture and help you understand not just how to get rid of it, but first of all, we need to understand how it came about in the first place in order to be able to get rid of it. Now, right off the bat, I just want to make it very clear that the deeper you're in this illness, the longer you've had it, the more intense the feelings are, then obviously the more fatigued you will be. And you might have noticed that usually pain and other strange symptoms will come along after you've been ill for a longer period of time. So like I said, I've created this kind of visual here to paint that picture for you. So first we need to understand how the fatigue is even there in the first place. And once we understand that, it will give you an understanding of how all of this works. So right off the bat, if you watch my channel, then you've probably seen my other videos where I talk about the stress threshold and how stress is really the cause of a lot of these symptoms and the fatigue that you're feeling. So everybody has this max stress threshold. If you look right here, I created this chart kind of to show the different levels of your threshold for stress. So let's say you have a little bit of stress, right? Everybody can handle a little bit of stress. That's fine. That's normal. We feel stress on a daily basis. But as things start to pile up, there's more and more stress, then we get closer to this max stress threshold. Now, let's say we have more stressor here, we're about halfway. We continue piling on the stress, emotional, mental, physical, spiritual, whatever it is, there is stress in our lives. Then we continue to introduce it, maybe not even consciously, maybe we're unconsciously introducing lots of stress into our lives. But once you reach that max stress threshold, then that's it. Your body doesn't go into shutdown mode, but then it starts to warn you of certain things. So once you do hit that max stress threshold, your body starts sending you warnings to slow down because it can only handle so much stress. It starts to see any type of stress, whether physical or mental, whether it's real or not real at all, it will send you signals to slow down. And first, it starts sending you warnings in the form of fatigue. So we'll start sending you fatigue. Now, for a lot of people, we'll just tell ourselves, oh, yeah, we feel like we're tired. I'm just under the weather. If I sleep a bit more, then it'll go away. But maybe I could just keep pushing through for a little bit more, whether it's in your job or relationships or life, right? When the stress starts to pile on and you go above that max stress threshold, your body now starts to send you warnings to slow down. So that's kind of step one. And if you continue to push through it for a prolonged period of time, well, guess what? It gets to that next level. Your body starts to send you more warnings to slow down. It starts to send you actual symptoms, heart palpitations, lightheadedness, dizziness, anything to really slow you down and stop you from continuing to pile on the stress. And a lot of people, they'll be like, okay, I'm feeling tired, getting some headaches now, but it's fine. I'll just push through it. And keep in mind, these periods of times when your body's sending you warnings to slow down, giving you fatigue, and when it gives you symptoms, this can last anywhere from a few months to a few years. For me, I was feeling fatigued long before I got hit with that CFS, with all those severe symptoms to the point where I was bedridden. I was feeling fatigued for a long time, probably like 3 years. You almost feel like you're living in another dimension. Your brain's out of it. You get some vertigo sometimes, the room's kind of moving around, your vision gets blurry. That's a big one. As you continue to try to push through all these symptoms and the fatigue, your body sends you more and more signals, essentially screaming out, saying, stop, you need to slow down. A lot of times we'll continue to keep pushing through it. Now the body will send you even more warnings to slow down, which is more symptoms. This is when you start getting more palpitations, more anxiety, more insomnia, and you just can't seem to shut down. You're feeling wired and buzzed. And if you continue pushing through that, whether it's physical work, like I said, or whether you continue taking like supplements that are hard on your body that mess with the nervous systems, or you're taking substances or anything like that, at this point your body is pretty susceptible to shutting down, because it's already reached its max stress threshold, and you've already gone past the first warning, the second round of warnings, the third round of warnings. At this point, a lot of things can happen where it can just wipe you out, whether it's a virus that you get. There's a couple people in Recovery Jumpstart. They were doing okay, and then all of a sudden a virus came out of nowhere, and it just wiped them out. And then it put them over the edge to that next level, and the next level is essentially the body goes down into lockdown mode. The CFS is triggered. This is where you can be bedridden. You can not be able to get out of the house. Maybe your anxiety is through the roof, but essentially your body is in survival mode because you put on so much stress over time that even the smallest things, your brain will perceive them as threats. And so the brain just shuts down. It goes into hiding mode. Essentially what it does, the reason it gives you lots of fatigue and lots of symptoms, it's to put a limiter on your body to make sure you're not going out, you're not exposing yourself to all these different situations. So the way the brain thinks is if it can force you to, stay home, stay safe, and just not go anywhere, then it's going to avoid a lot of this new stimulus. And this is where a lot of people get stuck. The body goes into lockdown mode. The CFS gets triggered. And so, a lot of people are focusing down here. It's how do I get rid of the fatigue? The fatigue won't go away, but we have to understand that that's going to come after we figure this out and this out and this out, and we deal with all these things. Because when it gets to this point, we need to deal with that first in order to start the recovery process. Then we need to work backwards. So, if you're watching these videos right now, then you're probably somewhere along these stages. Maybe you're just getting fatigue. Maybe you're getting fatigue and symptoms. Maybe you're getting fatigue and lots of symptoms. Or maybe you're in the state where you're completely bedridden and you just can't get up and move around the house. You can't do laundry or dishwasher. You can't load your dishwasher. You can't do a lot of stuff. You're probably at that point, when you're about here. And so if you're watching these videos, you're probably not like here or here or here. You're probably past your max stress threshold, and you're somewhere along these lines. But like I said, we need to deal with this first in order to start the recovery process. We need to deal with the CFS that's been triggered, the nervous system gone wild. I made a video a few weeks ago. You can click on it right up here, where I talk about really just the puzzle of CFS and how it can be very confusing, and that's where a lot of people get stuck. And so in order to deal with this, that's a whole separate topic. Actually, I created a program specifically to help you guys get out of lockdown mode and really to get rid of all of this stuff and work backwards. But essentially in Recovery Jumpstart, the way we approach the solution to this problem is, number one, it's going to be becoming aware of what's going on. Really just aware of your thoughts and the way your body's responding, because a lot of times, well, not even a lot of times, most of the time you are going to be running on autopilot. At least your nervous system will be. And it's just going to take you anywhere it wants to go. It's going to make you panic and become anxious and overreact to certain symptoms. You'll get mood swings, brain fog, all those things. But number one is awareness. Number two, we need to work on the mindset, because it's very easy to get down into this negative pit and this hole that you're in where you literally just stay stuck. Once we figure out the awareness and the mindset and we snap you out of autopilot, then we're able to move on to the next part, which is essential to recovering. This is almost like laying the foundation, but understanding the science of what's going on. Because the more you understand what's going on with your body, the less you fear it, the less anxiety you have, and the more clear direction you have, and the easier it is to go down that recovery path versus trying all these different things and trying to go to this doctor or trying this solution and this solution, and it just it keeps you running in circles. So in the Recovery Jumpstart program, we help you understand the science, but we were also by your side the entire time. So we're hopping on weekly group coaching calls just to make sure everybody is on track. Once you understand the science, then you can put these strategies into practice. So we've actually created tasks in the program and homework for people to do, nothing super overwhelming, but there are certain things you have to do in a certain order in order to really recover. And once you put that into practice, then you're just on that recovery journey. You're just going to be focusing on increasing your progress cycles, doing more and more, obviously pulling back as well, but we go into detail in all of that in Recovery Jumpstart. I just wanted to break this down for you guys to understand that, you can't just get rid of fatigue right away. It's going to be one of the secondary things that comes off. You need to deal with the immediate symptoms first. You need to deal with taking the limiter essentially off of your brain, off of your primal brain. And once you retrain that, then your body and your brain goes, okay, it's safe now. We can give more energy because we're going to allow this individual, this body, to go out into the world and really expose itself to potentially more stressors. But you need to regain trust with your brain and your body. And that's something that we dive deep into in Recovery Jumpstart. But in terms of getting rid of fatigue, you can't just go for the fatigue. You can't just get rid of it. And if you try to treat it, it's only going to make the problem worse. For me, I was trying to do IV treatments for the longest time. I was doing Myers cocktails, vitamin B12 injections, IV drips. I did over 100 vitamin B12 IV drips over a 2-year period. That's a lot of IV drips. And yeah, it gave me a lot of energy in the beginning. It took away the fatigue, but I still had all those other symptoms going on because my brain, I was essentially overriding my brain's power over my body with these external things. And once those IV drips started to wear off and my tolerance became higher and higher and I needed more and more IVs just to feel a bit better, it's actually almost like a miracle I was able to get out of it because I was in such a bad state. But fatigue is something that is not going to be immediate. That's going to be secondary. The first thing that's going to go is the pain, the symptoms, the immediate stressors. That's going to go first. There's no way to do it the other way around. You can't just get rid of fatigue and all the pain is going to be there. You have to get rid of the outer layers first, and then you're able to go deeper and deeper in terms of what started first. So if we go back to here, once we get this under control up here, then we're able to kind of peel the layers of the onion. Then we're able to deal with these symptoms over here. Just by doing what we teach in Recovery Jumpstart, get rid of even more symptoms down here. And then down here is when fatigue starts to come off. The body starts to go, okay, it's pretty safe now. We can do a lot more things. So as we take these off, you're able to get down to fatigue. Once the fatigue comes off, then the stressors, it's easier and easier to deal with the stressors. No one's going to live with absolutely zero stress. This is almost like the safe zone over here. But as long as you're not going over your max stress threshold for prolonged periods of time, that's important. For prolonged periods of time, then you're going to be okay and you're not going to end up, going down the route of having CFS again. But if that's something you wanted to learn more of, then make sure you visit the link down below. You can apply to Recovery Jumpstart to see if you're even a good fit for the program, because not everybody's a good fit, right? We want to make sure the people we're letting into the program are people we can see succeeding and people we can definitely help. So if that's someone like you, if you feel like this would be a good fit, then make sure you hit that link down below. You can apply and there's a quick questionnaire and we would love to be able to help you out. If you do get in, then there's a lot of videos that are more in depth than these ones that really break down the science of how to recover, but also the accountability and the small group coaching, which is huge. That's what people find the most helpful. You get to work directly with me on a weekly basis where I can give you specific advice and a direction for your specific situation. And that's just a way we can keep you on track and make sure you continue to get better. But if you got some value out of this video, make sure you smash that like button, comment down below if there's something you learned in this video or something that really stood out. Let me know if that makes sense in terms of trying to get rid of fatigue. But that's all I have for today. Remember, you are a thriver and you are just one mind shift away from living a life with thriving health. I'll see you in the next video.